television series, movie, or read a book that changed your perspective on life in some way? Today I'm going to be talking about a television series that I feel had a pretty significant impact on me and just how powerful it was for me. That series is a Japanese animated television show called A Place Further Than the Universe. This show has a relatively simple premise about 4 young girls that are traveling from Japan to Antarctica. Each girl has her own reason for wanting to make this trip. It's a very simple premise, but despite that, I feel it has many relatable themes along the way. The first item I wanted to cover that I felt was one of the main themes for this show is stepping outside your comfort zone. The premise of the show, as I stated, is about young girls who want to go to Antarctica. The main girl, Mari, is just getting ready to graduate high school. She said one of her goals is to go on a journey without a plan. For her, this is terrifying because she's always stuck to her routine and doesn't want to do anything outside her comfort zone. She ends up going along on this trip because she gets pulled along by some friends. I think many of us can relate to wanting to, or being afraid to step outside of your comfort zone. The example I'm going to provide is, for me, one of my goals for a long time has been to visit Japan. There are I've traveled to many different places in the United States and also Canada, but I've never actually traveled outside of North America. There's a lot of different barriers for me in traveling to Japan, and that's one of the reasons I've been afraid to step outside of my comfort zone. A few barriers are the cost of the trip. It's going to be a fairly significant amount of money that's going to cost for travel and all the accommodations. Another big barrier for me, and a reason I've put it off for a long time, is just the amount of travel time. The furthest I've currently flown is to Hawaii, which is about a 5-hour trip, and Japan's going to be more than double that. So that's been kind of a barrier for me. And then the third one is the fact that I don't speak the language. It's a little nerve-wracking going to a country that you've never been to, and especially one where you don't actually speak the language. These are all barriers, but none of these barriers are impenetrable. I've started looking into doing some trips through like a travel group, and I'm hoping to make this trip by the end of the year. If that happens, there will be a speech about it. I have a quote here, and I basically pulled this quote this is actually from the show itself. The quote is, "When you hit the point of no return, that's the moment it truly becomes a journey. If you can still turn back, it's not truly a journey." The second theme I want to talk about today is how the show portrays friendship. In this anime, the characters don't have the 4 main characters do not have any prior connections. They all end up uniting over a shared goal in this instance. One of the aspects I really like about this show is how we see the bonds between the 4 characters form over the course of 12 episodes. They do a really good job of showing that their relationships develop organically. For me, this is another one that kind of hit close to home. There's been a few occasions where I've moved from my hometown to a city where I didn't know anyone. The first instance was in college when I left Cleveland to go to Bowling Green State University. I didn't have any friends or know a single person in the city, but I was able to, over time, make friends based on shared interests and other items. The second instance was when I moved to Columbus. Again, I knew maybe 1 or 2 people in the city before I moved here, but one of the first things I did when I moved to Columbus was join a local group. And through that group, I've made many lifelong friends. This group of friends, we celebrate many birthdays and holidays together. We've also gone on many trips together. And again, I got a quote for this one. This is not from the show, this is from Mark Twain. But he said, "I have found there ain't no surer way to find out if you like people or hate people than to travel with them."
Yep.
I can speak from personal experience. I've had mostly positive experiences while traveling with friends, but have been some negative experiences. The last item I'm going to cover today is one of the more difficult ones for me to cover, which is how the show handles grief and loss. In the anime, The Place Within the Universe, Shirase, one of the main characters from the show, loses her mother. This happens before the show actually starts. At the time, I think she's around 12 years old. Her reason for wanting to go to Antarctica is because that is where her mother was. That's where her mother basically died, and she wants to go visit that site to reconnect with her mother. There's a very, very difficult scene towards the end of the show where the young girl finds her mother's old laptop and sees all of the unread messages that she had sent over the years to her mother. For me, this is a really difficult one because I lost my mother about 5 years ago. I still have her number listed in my contacts, and before my phone, basically before one of my phones broke, I had old messages from my mom in that phone. So when I watched this scene, it was really difficult, but it was well portrayed. And the quote I have for this one is, it's from a writer, I'm not familiar with her, but Susan Wiggs, and it says, "There is something about losing your mother that is permanent and inexpressible, a wound that will never quite heal." Those are just a few of the themes that are featured in this show, which are adventure, friendship, and loss. Overall, the show does a great job of highlighting those themes and just shows the overall impact that media can have in any form with strong writing and well-written characters. Thank you.